I know you're working on a big piece about lithium mining in the United States. And actually, our producer Paige also wrote something recently for the New Republic, right? Or in these times. God damn it, Paige, I'm an asshole.
In these times, she says.
In these times about about lithium mining, and specifically how the Inflation Reduction Act might have energy companies setting their sights on the Salton Sea, which is in California, Southern California, and it's like drying up and it's like super toxic, but there's lithium. Can you just like explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm I'm right now in Palm Springs, about an hour from the Salton Sea. So I went out there in October. As you say, it's about 45 miles of lake bed has been already exposed. There's kind of naturally the Salton Sea kind of ebbs and flows over the centuries. Right now, we're in a cycle where it's receding. The problem is, for the last 100 years, nitrates and chemicals from agricultural activities in Imperial County have flowed into the sea. That has been its source of water for the last 100 years. And so 100 years of chemicals now are exposed on this lake bed. When they jump into the atmosphere, they hit the lungs of people who live in that area. Child asthma rates are double the normal rate in California. It's a very depressed community. And they've kind of been looking for saviors for decades in Imperial County. And now they've found a new savior, and it's called lithium. So in an underground reservoir, which has nothing to do with the Salton Sea itself, it's actually under the sea. There's this reservoir that has probably the largest unrecovered deposit of lithium in the world.
Wow.
And lithium obviously is a main component of lithium ion batteries, which are used in electric vehicles and are a major thing that we need to get. The normal ways of extracting lithium are some of the most toxic in human history. There's hard rock mining, which the EPA has said is the most toxic industry in the United States. And there's this thing called evaporation pit mining, where they literally they dig a big hole. It's got this brine in it. And they let it evaporate for 2 years after they fill it with water, and then they can pull the lithium out. It takes 2 million gallons of water to extract 2 million metric tons of water to extract 1 ton of lithium.
Oh my God.
This is done primarily in the Atacama Desert of the Lithium Triangle in South America, which is a desert. And they're using that much water in order to do it.
Right? In Chile and Peru?
Chile and Argentina and Bolivia, I believe.
Yes, Atacama.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Fun. I mean,
what's being done in the Salton Sea, however, has the potential to be transformative. And the reason is that the Salton Sea area already uses what is called geothermal energy. So what they do is they go into this reservoir, they pull out the brine. It's super hot. It's like 500 degrees. They put it into a separator. The steam is pulled out, and it drives a turbine that creates energy. It's renewable energy, geothermal energy.
This is not what's underneath, which is the lithium.
That is what's underneath.
Oh, okay.
The brine that has the lithium in it.
Brine.
Now, normally what they would do is re-inject the brine back in, and then they pull it out, re-inject it in, pull out the steam, and create energy that way. However, if they do an extra step and say, before we re-inject this brine, we'll pull the lithium out, then they can do it in the only known sustainable way in the world, right? So the problem is this has only been done in a lab. So it hasn't ever been done at scale. There are 3 companies who are trying to do direct lithium extraction through the geothermal in the Salton Sea. And there have been these promised benefits to the community, even though it hasn't been done yet.
That
So
doesn't use the
that's
fresh water. So you're saying there could be like a really
there's very little water use. There's not a lot of water use.
So we have two roads. One could be horribly contaminating and use a bunch of fresh water, and the other could be like a huge, like green game changer.
Exactly.
Getting the lithium
And
batteries.
what's happening at the Salton Sea is the green game changer. That's what they're trying to do.
Got it.
However, it's not 100%. There's questions as to whether the community will actually benefit from this, or whether it will just create a lot more industrial noise and expansion. And the other question is, I talked to a researcher who said, well, if you want to maximize lithium extraction in the Salton Sea, you really need the sea to recede more so they can put more plants in different parts of the exposed parts of the sea. I'm like, isn't that horrible? Like, isn't that exactly what will create more exposed lake bed and more asthma dust going off into the areas? Like, Jesus. Oh, well, yeah, sure, you need a balance. So there is the question of sort of the balance between new industrial activity in this area and environmental protection. But all of that is discussed in this story, which is coming out, I think, in a week and a half or so.
So after you brine the lithium, isn't there a risk that the gravy that comes out is too salty?
Yeah.
Salt is actually an interesting part of it. The Salton Sea, which salt is right there in the name, is twice as salty as the ocean.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's really like this ecological disaster that has happened. I have been there, and
a culinary wonder.
You see these balls sort of up on the shore. And you're not sure exactly what they are. And it turns out they are dead fish. That because the oxygen is slowly going away, you get these algal blooms in the sea. And that deoxidization essentially turns fish into desiccated spheres. It's a gross place. It has a rotten egg smell. It's really a fascinating little bit of
welcome
Americana.
To California. This is Gavin's home.
He's called it the Saudi Arabia of lithium.
Oh God, Gavin, no. Well, I'm fascinated. Well, everyone read the article. We'll see TBD. Can we just get like a high-speed light rail before we fucking dig up an entire seabed? Thanks. One question actually someone asked, Hippie Spot was saying, is it naturally occurring lithium, or is it because of all the years of disgusting like agricultural ruff that it created?
It is natural, because this is miles under the ground. I mean, lithium is pretty abundant around the world, but this is an untapped source.
Okay.
And it happens to be massive. And if it's done right, and you're re-injecting the brine and constantly replenishing the underground reservoir up and down in the cycle, it can actually work. But
this is
the problem is, the problem is no one has done it beyond sketching it on a pad so far.
Right. It's like the dude who raised all that Kickstarter money on Kickstarter to clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and then he was like, "Oh, it was just a model. Exactly. I don't actually know how to do that." Everyone was like, "What the fuck?" Like, what if an amoeba ate garbage? Oh, that was just an idea.
This is slightly more advanced than that. I actually went to one of the plants where they're actually trying to do this.
Okay.
But only slightly. Right.
Todd Roy says it sounds like Mordor. Very excited to see the Eye of Sauron in the Salton Sea. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.